What's going on, everybody? And look at this. This guy comes in at the last second. Man, oh man, I tell you. Time. Anyway, how's everybody doing? My name is Corey, aka Sam's. This is That Comic Show podcast. We are here tonight with some distinguished gentlemen. They are here to talk about some good stuff. Some you know what? We're just going to talk about one particular thing. If we get to the other thing, then we'll get to it. But you know what we're here for. We're here to talk about that Snyder Cut. So before we even jump into it, let me introduce the men at the round table. On my right of my screen, I'm going to introduce a new face to the group. His name is Corey, aka Brick Corey. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
You too.
I got my man. Nice. Got my man. Color is everything. Good to see you.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be here.
All right. Got my man. I Am Legend underneath here.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I know you glad to be here. You chopping at the bit to get in here, huh? Chopping at the bit, man. I'll tell you. All right, so let's put everything out on the table first and foremost. Okay. And I'm gonna go round table first, and then I'm gonna pose the first question. So for me first, I've never watched the Snyder Cut. I've watched every DC movie with the exception of Birds of Prey. I've watched every DC movie. Man of Steel is still considered my favorite DCEU movie out of all of them. I thought it was a good start to the universe. I am on the fence right now. At first, I did not want to see this movie, period. I wasn't giving this movie a chance. I didn't want to give this movie a chance. But I am now teetering. Now, I could teeter back over to where I would never watch this movie again, or I am teetering on the side of which I will watch this movie. And that's where I am right now. So that is all my chips on the table. So let's go over to Corey. Well, I'm going to call you Brick Corey.
That's cool. That's cool. Thank you.
All right. So I don't confuse myself.
With yourself?
I do.
Well, yeah, I did watch it. I've watched it a couple times because I'm the kind of movie nerd that like really likes to absorb all of what I just saw. And yeah, it's kind of hard to say I watched it a couple times just this many days later, but
That's normal.
it's because back in 2017 I saw that cut, knowing what had been going on behind the scenes with Zack Snyder and his personal issues, but also, Joss Whedon's jumping in to put something together with what existed and kind of rearrange the story to simplify it. But I have, since 2017, I've watched it countless times as a heckler. But I still have always wanted basically what I just got. That's where I'm coming from. I'm still kind of riding that yay wave of my dreams came true. I knew that scene had people talking more technically, and it never happened. And it impressed me with what I would say, like what I knew was supposed to be there. So just from the watching movies perspective, I feel like it was meant to be seen in chapters from the beginning. It is a chaptered out presentation. It's almost like, when one chapter ends, it fades to black and tells you can pause here, take an intermission, maybe come back tomorrow and, watch the next chapter. Anyway, so without, too much of being a fan gusher, I'm just impressed with, just the way the TV landscape is today, where we get something like WandaVision and just something that was hard to categorize or, as something that you've seen before, or, something like this, where HBO is going to give them this space to show an entire, epic of what the director was thinking. Again, sticking to Justice League only. That's where I'm coming from between the two films, as someone who just loves to watch superhero movies. I'm also a huge Marvel fan, so that universe is this lovely expanded thing that's really well connected and pays a lot of homage to its source material.
So we're gonna
I love both
touch on
ends.
that. We're gonna briefly touch on Marvel just for a little bit. I want this to be a strictly Snyder cut DC.
You bet.
We're doing tonight. And I know colors everything. I'm looking at you. I see a reaction. So you tell me what like your cards on the table.
Yeah. So what I'm playing with is absolutely Man of Steel. Saw it, and I was like, oh, it's about time. All right, like, you know, I was a comic book fan first and foremost, and then I became a loose DC, like very, very loose DC fan. Then they gave me Green Lantern, and I was like, okay. So I threw my hand back in, tried to get another hand. I took it back out, had Superman still. I was like, yes. Then they gave me BVS, and I went, no, Wonder Woman. I was like, okay, cool. All right, I can play with this. Then BVS, and I went, I don't want to play with this anymore.
Martha.
And then we got JL, and I definitely was like, I'm going to get up from this table. This not even worth the game. But the rumors came out for Snyder Cut, and I got to be honest with you, I've seen only movie from DC Universe that I haven't seen is Birds of Prey, like yourself. Big fan of their animated movies. I mean, I have been bought in from way back when they did some of their Batman, Superman, and those are some of the graphics that I have read. I would just buy them as graphics and not the individual issues. They're animated stuff. I'm a huge fan of Young Justice, like absolutely huge fan. Their Justice League is like phenomenal, right? Most of the iterations. There's a couple I'm not a fan of. But long story short, when they heard Snyder Cut, and I was like, oh, there's more to this. I was just willing to give it a chance. That's all. Because JL, like, I'm not going back to the table. Don't care what they do. I'm good. I would be committed purely as like I go to Comic-Con type fan. Like I would watch something maybe because I'm a like pure fan of the genre overall, but you're not getting my money in the theater. Like I'll wait for that bad boy to come on a streaming service. Like you weren't going to get me to put my butt in the seat for you guys again. But I saw the movie and I'm ready to talk about it. I have thoughts. I do. I definitely have thoughts. I absolutely do.
Okay. Fair enough. I Am Legend.
Okay, so quick backstory on the me and DC Universe, our connections. Not really a fan of them at all. I'll tell you the truth. Growing up, I read the major comics like the Superman Death storyline, the Killing Joke storyline, things like that, but was never really a big fan of DC. So after MOS came out, I loved it. I was like, okay, it's a new Superman. I feel it a little bit. BVS came out. I thought it was the worst thing in the world. I still think it's the worst thing in the world. And then, like what Color said, when the Justice League came out, I was like, wow, we're still going in this direction. It's real bad.
Yeah. And
so I heard rumblings of the Snyder Cut, and I was with Corey on this. So I'm like, yo, it makes no sense. Then I heard he's doing like reshoots and stuff. I'm like, yo, he's making a movie that after he got our feedback, now he's gonna make a movie based on our feedback from watching the original Justice League movie. So at first I was gonna watch at all, but then I wind up watching. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. I gave it a try, and what I thought.
Wait, don't tell me what
totally wrong.
Don't tell me what you thought of it yet.
Well, I'll tell you this: that the reshoots that they probably did do, you couldn't tell. Like, I'll save it for later, but it looked like that. This Snyder Cut was his original idea. It doesn't look like it was stuff that we wanted. It looked like that stuff that he wanted, and I respect that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. So we got another person in, and this is I'm gonna bring him in right now. This is Travis A. Sams, aka
what's up, guys?
Hey, Travis.
What's up, Jermaine, man? Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, yo,
Jermaine, on time, man.
I know, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Good to see you. Good
All
to
right.
see you. So Travis,
I know this guy's excited.
The team is back now.
Yeah. So Travis, real quick, I'm going to do a quick introduction for everybody. So
Okay.
Travis, this is Corey over here on my end over there. He's visiting. He's a guest appearing with us tonight. Colors everything.
Okay. Nice.
He's over there in the upper right hand for me.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
And so
What's up?
Travis,
Glad to meet y'all.
definitely. So right now where we are in. We're just putting our hands on the table. We're not talking about what we felt about the movie yet. We're just talking about as far as what are you coming into this movie. So I talked about my stance. Corey touched on his color ledger. He touched on his and everything. So your turn. So coming in, don't tell me how you feel about the movie. What are your cards coming in before watching the movie?
You mean like how I feel about just the movie itself, or the universe, or what was the universe?
Before you watch the movie, like what was your impression coming in to watch this movie? So everything that the DCEU gave you prior.
Okay, well, coming in the movie, I didn't expect much, only because we're not getting a brand new movie. We're just getting filler. We're just getting, I felt like we're just getting a something that we didn't see, like behind the scene. We're just getting a cut, honestly. Like that's exactly what we got. So that's what I felt like coming in. I mean, DC haven't had the greatest track record to me. I personally like maybe out of, I don't know how much movies they have, maybe like 5 or 6 of them. Maybe I've liked 3 of them solidly, and the rest are just, wish they never existed. So coming into this movie, I was 50-50. You know what I mean? I was 50-50. I was like, you know what? It could go a little south, but it could explain what we didn't get a chance to really, show us. So I didn't have high expectations or low expectations. I was just right in the middle. But I've been like that with DC for a while, so it's not like it's something new.
All right. Okay. So now that that's all out in the open, now we can get into it right now. So
get into it. Yeah, let's get the right idea.
Yes, let's
right.
So
let's warm up.
I'm gonna say what I need to say. I don't have a foot in this race because I didn't watch it. Now the reason as to why I did not watch it, nor did I want to watch it, is very simple. Batman versus Superman. When I saw the movie, and I've told this story before, that was the first movie that has ever made me emotionally upset and mad. Emotionally, if you're able to touch me emotionally, it could be one of 2 things: whether I'm happy and I'm crying because I'm full of joy, or I'm angry and I want to hurt people. That is what BVS did to me. So that was all Zack Snyder. And what I hated the most is that the potential storylines that could have been drawn out or could have been used for a standalone movie,
wasted.
That's now robbed. In my opinion, that's now taken away for right now. When Justice League came out, I gave Justice League a chance because of the fact of, Zack stepping away. He had family issues. Of course, he stepped away, but then they put another director in the driver's seat, which most studios don't really do. They'll just pause and wait for the director to get better, get well, and come back and finish the job. But I wanted to give it a chance.
Where they should have stopped.
Okay,
yeah, they should have.
They really should have.
They should have stopped it and just wait for him to come back.
Absolutely.
Not 100%.
They reinterpreted the story, in my opinion, and they did it to just cut something down.
Yeah.
Actually, I would even say real quick, Corey, I think they did it because Marvel pressured them.
Yes. There was a lot of this pressure from Marvel, already having that big old established universe, the way they made it happen. Awesome. And this was their catch-up movie. This was supposed to be the DCEU catch-up movie. But then I'd say what was edited together didn't make any sense to me sitting there in the audience. One example, and then I'll kind of just pass it on from here. But one example that just threw me for a loop sitting there in the theater was the group standing around the table deciding what they need to do. Nothing specific is mentioned except the power of this thing. Nothing else is mentioned, though, at all, until someone says, "Oh, so you think we can bring him back?" Okay, so it was confusing. I went home going, what? I know where they eventually got to in the movie with it, but It was confusing as hell. And just to compare it to what I just saw, and is it okay if I just say what I saw in
definitely.
the Snyder release?
Before you do this, for those who are watching right now, this is a spoiler-heavy episode.
Thank you. I wasn't
spoiler heavy.
Go wild.
Okay. So in comparison, I mean, did anyone else kind of like feel that way? Like it was a scene that they kind of cut apart and took a lot of context dialogue away to just make a quick short scene saying we're going to bring back Superman with, the spaceship. In this Snyder cut, what you get is a lot more conversations. And I want to say it feels like they have a quick Star Trek style conversation saying technical things. And that's what was happening. And it led to them having very specific words about Clark Kent and what they might do. And, everyone had a contribution to the conversation. And, what we learn is that Flash may have an especially strong skill that can help them, make this happen. So, and in the end, that's a cohesive conversation that was filmed. It was entirely filmed, which didn't make any sense at all. The context is Cyborg is educating these guys. Yeah. Also, that wasn't really the conversation in that 2017 release. And it was like rushed to compact scenes and move the story along, but it took away literal words of context that could have cleared up a lot of things in my mind.
This is why the first thing I said to myself after seeing the movie, this is a movie about just implications. They're just implying so much stuff, but nothing is established.
That's how it
felt. Nothing is established. Everything
like you're supposed to figure it out yourself. Yeah.
Are you talking about the first one around?
Yes.
Yeah, the first time around. Yeah.
I am Legend. You were going.
Yeah, I was gonna say what he mentioned was a lot of things they took out as well was Cyborg's powers. Like what is his powers, how his powers work. Like I had no clue going into like I've seen Cyborg from like Teen Titans, yes, but I didn't know how like he interfaces with the internet, how you could take control over certain things. And the way he was explaining the mother box and even the ending scene where he was took apart the mother box itself and how he interfaced with it. I don't understand how they took that out the film, the original film.
It makes no sense to me.
It was weird to me.
Watching a reaction video this week about this, it was hilarious. One guy in the room has never seen either cut. This Snyder version, this 4-hour version, is the first thing he's ever seen of this movie, and it plays through a scene like that, and everyone in the room's going, "Oh my god!" And he goes, "What? That wasn't in the first movie? That doesn't make sense." And they all just scream, "No!" So it shows like these huge stark differences between the two.
I gotta say, here's my reaction. Right? I no longer do drugs. There was a time when I've done a little bit of the natural herbs. Right? Got to be totally honest. I have grown past that. Lord is my savior. All that. I feel like it's a comparison between doing something completely inebriated, so you remember snips and spurts, versus being sober through the whole process. Like when I left the first movie, I was, Corey, you talk about visceral reaction. I was actually empty. I was just empty.
Yeah,
like, I couldn't even bring to mind reactions, and yet this, I just like that reaction. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think this really was like a movie about context, which is what I needed. And sadly, it speaks so much to the DCU overall, because I think the issue was they had been rushing a process that needed, like, you needed to build the story. Marvel took time building their story, and DCU has great characters. I was reminded how much I do like the Batfleck, and yet sadly, I feel like he, just like Ryan Reynolds, who could have been a great Green Lantern. Like, I'm going to small segment. I actually think Ryan Reynolds for a Green Lantern cast, particularly Kyle Joyner, is what you needed. I just wish he read the script with more foresight. Like it just, or maybe like someone would have, kept it a buck with him.
I know it's based on
Batfleck. Like they ruined Batfleck because like his character has potential, and that was ruined in BVS, not necessarily in JL. I think BVS Batfleck was ruined, and so coming into this, my only biggest critique, and I'll just go there because I think it's necessary, is the movie was 4 hours long because half of that movie was actually played in like 1/4 of time. Like that's why the movie was 4 hours long, not because of the added conversation. It was just half of that movie was in 1/4 time, and it's just like, all right, well that makes sense because I have to watch the Flash. And first of all, as a runner, no one runs like that. No one you either run like
running on wires.
Okay, you run an anime where you're like your hands are back and you're free. Okay, we all know that. Or you're a sprinter and you run like normal people. Well, what is that?
Like,
Swimming.
Well, for me personally, and maybe I might be on my own boat on this one, but I did not like the Snyder cut at all, whatsoever at all. I thought you couldn't. For me personally, I thought Suicide Squad is the bottom of the barrel. Like you can't get lower than Suicide Squad.
I would agree.
And to me, I think Justice League is just above Suicide Squad.
Wow, really?
And I'm gonna tell you why. It is better than Whedon's version to a small degree, and the only thing that makes it better, I think, is because it's more flushed out. Like you guys said, you got to see inside of Cyborg's mind. You got to see a little bit about him. You got to see some stuff about the Flash. You know what I mean? Not much about Wonder Woman outside of like their mascara, some scenes over there and stuff like that. Not much about Aquaman, but Aquaman in timeline, his movie is next. So I really wasn't really expecting to see much about him anyway. So I was kind of happy that we really didn't go into his world. But what I said before, I think some things in the Whedon's cut is like you're supposed to get, but also in this cut, I felt the same kind of energy, right? For example, Flash, the girl that Flash saved in the movie from the car crash and everything like that.
Iris.
Corey told me her name. I didn't know her name.
But I think that's cool, though. I actually think that's cool because I think JL. I'm gonna drop you real quick because I want to be honest about all of us. I think we gotta keep it a buck. This is not Marvel. Let's be honest. This is not Marvel.
You can't say that.
No. We need to be honest with ourselves. It's not Marvel.
You can't give it an excuse. That's like saying
I'm not. I'm simply saying if you look at this as a movie that I think it was intended to, which is to be the start, the real launching point of their universe.
Yes.
Then I think if I critique it based on that, and so that's why I'm okay with not knowing who that person was because we were supposed to get Flashpoint Paradox next. Like there were supposed to be other things to build, and so JL was their attempt at launching their universe. So when I look at that's what I'm saying. Like if we're really gonna break it down, I think we got to be honest. And say, like as a you can't compare like nothing can be compared to Marvel right now. Nothing.
Yeah, of course not. I'm not comparing it to Marvel, but that's like saying, imagine someone gives you a basket of fruits and you look inside, there's no fruit. It's like don't give me that scene. Don't give me that scene if you know that you're not gonna have a movie afterwards. Don't give me it. You know what I mean? And I think like the movie kept on doing that. One of my biggest gripes was Martian Manhunter, right? Number one, and please, I want someone to answer me this question because maybe I just missed it. Hold on, Corey got something to say.
Maybe. Well, but what's your question about Martian Manhunter? I mean, besides just kind of like, here he is.
Well, there's that.
I want to make sure that because I want to try my best to have us stick to the way the movie laid out every chapter.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. It's because there's so much content in the movie. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. So then let's go back to the mother boxes, how they awakened, right? This is the thing that kind of I don't understand. These things existed for 5,000 of years, right? Mm-hmm. They say in it, oh well, there's no Kryptonians, which it's implied that the Kryptonians are like the saviors of the universe, but it's not really said within the movie. There's no Green Lanterns. Well, of course, because we've only seen one. out of a whole thing that's called a core, and they have this big battle that could decide the fate of the universe, we only see one Green Lantern. These things, mother boxes, have existed for 5,000 years, and all of a sudden, they're afraid of Superman that existed after them?
Bounce back is in Superman in MOS. His father did allude to that. His father did allude to in his movie that they were more than just what they had become, and that Kal-El was supposed to be the return to that. Now, I say that also realizing that 5,000 years is a lot of time, and Superman is at least 33. So,
yeah, right. But my
superhero years, though, how long is he going to stay 33? Anyway,
but my thing is, show, don't tell. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about movies. You got to show it, don't tell me.
But how
don't
can
tell me these mother boxes are afraid of him, and there's no real reason why.
Well, what I got from that was this in the recut. As the movie opens, the recut shows that final battle between Superman and Doomsday, and as he lets out this, death cry, death yell, it signals all of the mother boxes that the last thing that could defend this planet from them is gone. Like, there was this mystical connection because of those ancient witches that Diana was referring to, that are the ones that like created the mother boxes out of science. So sciencey, it's like magic.
Thor reference.
but
it's a flashback. Anyway,
I did hear that.
But again, to me, that seemed very contrived. It seemed very contrived. Really? And then the thing is, like, there are other protectors. So why the mother box just, like, I don't know. I just felt like that was just kind of
dude.
It needed a reason to wake up.
Sorry, hold on. I gotta say, Travis, though, we believe stuff in the MCU that is just as ridiculous.
No, of course.
Y'all lying right now.
Infinity Stones, all with
comic books in general are ridiculous. They're in general they're by its birth, they're just ridiculous. But at least make it make sense.
Laser swords. Yeah.
See, the thing is with DC is that separates DC from Marvel is DC's approach is supposed to be more grounded, more realistic.
Yeah.
That's why they decided to continue from where Christopher Nolan kind of left off as far as the tone of their universe, to make it more grounded, more realistic, to where we as humans can kind of relate to it. But we can't really relate to a Superman, obviously. We can relate to a Batman because that's something that's grounded, that's realistic. I think, and I remember listening to that a part where, that cry that Superman lets out, which signals the mother boxes and stuff like that. And I'm going back and I'm saying, all right, well, in BVS, was there a yell? Did he yell out when he got stabbed? Was there anything that told us that? Probably not. If I'm memory serving correctly, but I get it.
Yeah, no. It's more like shown from a different angle or different perspectives. But the scene is very similar at the end of BVS. There isn't that the sonic wave that you see, the visual wave that goes across the earth.
Right.
But there is a cry out, and I think a big energy beam to the sky, maybe, or I'm just remembering it wrong. But yeah, it's not the same scene exactly, but that's what they want you to start from, to like connect the movie, directly to his death.
Exactly. They just want you to accept it. Like, it's here now. Just accept it, and let's move on. Now the mother boss have a reason to waking up. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of the story now.
It's like pitch meetings, because the movie needs to go on, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna push back a little bit. White color is everything said in mention of Marvel. I will agree with you on this point. Marvel has spoiled us to an extent to where we have an understanding of how a comic book movie is kind of lined up and is kind of told to an extent. The whole thing with DC was supposed to be different from that. That's why they decided to go the different route that they decided to go and go the different approach they decided to go. And that's all well and good.
different styles, different takes on the stories, and different circumstances.
For me,
like I don't know how I feel about the way they disconnected their universe purposefully like that.
Okay.
And I wish that it had better cohesion, but then you get the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. It just stands alone and it's its own thing.
And now the Batman's got the same thing.
And the new The Batman and Harley Quinn's thing that came after Suicide Squad.
Real quick before
another one. I didn't care for that, or Birds of Prey. I watched it just because, and
so I want you guys to see this real quick.
The bell was rung. Lex heard.
That's what Lex.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's
he's the only person that heard that particular cry, or if that's the case.
Oh no!
I can see that part if that's the case, because that was in the original cut of BBS when he said that. Nobody even know what the hell he was talking about.
I didn't connect
what bell has been rung? Who's coming? What are you talking about?
I had a different idea of what that meant.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always thought all along that what that meant was, the scene where the cops catch Lex meddling in the pool and he sees Steppenwolf with the box. He sees he's talking to Steppenwolf in that same intercosmic radio way as in their doing the Snyder Cut. So I think that's what that meant, that he had reached out with this ship and now Steppenwolf was on to Earth. He was on what's going on Earth. I always thought that was the bell's been rung scene, but
the movie doesn't tell us. So we're just here speculating.
No chill.
We're just here speculating now at this point.
Superman's cry though, that also worked.
I can't get behind this movie. I just can't.
Let's move on to chapter 2. So what was
Well, I Am Legend hasn't even given his chapter 1.
Let's do it.
I was waiting for him to go in. He quiet.
Because chapter 1 I love. That was one of the best chapters in this film.
What?
To me, I don't know. The second chapter, it was like
Wait, was the Wonder Woman scene in chapter 1?
Yeah, I think it ends with chapter. That's how chapter 1 ends.
We could talk. I could destroy that one apart too. That was original.
Like that scene
had
either?
Nothing to do with the story at all. They made it seem like it's such a big thing. The guy's like, oh, I want to go back to the Dark Ages. I thought maybe you're going to see a guy with a symbol of Dark Side on him. So it's like, okay, Dark Side is ready, getting humans on board.
That's not fair. I think what they were showing you is that they were still heroes and she was still active despite the death of Clark, who would have been the one to intercede. She interceded in that space. I think he was just a random kook.
I would rather a bank robbery. Why got to be some world-ending thing that these guys are trying to do? Because they want to go back to the Dark Ages.
Small. What villain do you know says I am even Joker's just robbing of the bank wasn't just robbing of the bank. My man was sowing the seeds of anarchy.
But that's the Joker. I'm not talking about these are like henchmen in my opinion, right? They seem like they're doing something for a bigger person. So they're coming to this museum to try to go back to the Dark Ages. My first thought was, well, why don't you guys go to the Capitol building or something like that, right? Something where it's kind of more that what you do is going to affect on a bigger scale. And they're talking about there's some big plan. They got all these bombs that are going to go off at the same time. Only one bomb went off.
It was just supposed to be one.
It was supposed to just be that
enough C4 that could.
Yeah. But in Snyder Cut, Wonder Woman blows out the side of the building. So how much damage were you preventing there?
And maybe
and then I
do have my gripes, even though overall I enjoy the whole thing. Overall, I do have my gripes here and there with stuff like that.
Of course, and then she causes the building that she was trying to protect. She causes the most damage. How does that make any sense?
All right, hold on. I see what we're doing here. I think I'm comparing Snyder's cut to the regular Justice League movie.
No, I'm talking about on its own.
I don't think that's fair.
That's what I'm doing.
Right. I tend to go back to that because I have such bad feelings about it.
Yeah. I would say. So here's my thing. I would have watched this movie quicker if Snyder's cut was the same amount of time as the original theatrical release. That way, you're playing by the same rules. You're playing by the same boundaries that the other director had. If you have 4 hours to flush out a story, then you could tell all types of stories flesh out all your characters, flesh out every part of the details that you want to flesh out within 4 hours, as opposed to doing everything in 2 hours. That's
but Corey,
Yeah,
I think
that's
the
awesome.
reason we can compare it as one to one, in my opinion, I'm kind of what I Am Legend is because not only do I think he was probably planning to try to do a pre-Avengers type deal, do the multiple movies.
Right,
I think there were ways to cut this down to 3 hours. I think just knowing that he didn't have to, he took up the extra. But I absolutely think we would have gotten the same kind of contextually meaty story in, what most movie is 3 hours 30. That's probably the max. So that's why for me, I'm with I Am Legend. I'm comparing the Snyder cut to GF. I think that's how I can do it.
Because Snyder could,
and I agree with you there.
Snyder could have done that.
And I agree with
this is not a Warner Brothers property. This is not a DC property. This is HBO Max, and this is Snyder bringing it. So if Snyder wanted to say this is what would have been in the movies, and this is my actual cut,
I'm an artist. You're an artist, Chief. You're an artist. If someone gives you freedom, you're gonna take up that freedom.
Right. He wasn't really remaking it.
You shouldn't take up that freedom with these women singing about Aquaman for a whole minute or two. That just takes up unnecessary time.
If I'm an artist, if someone tells me
you're right, I would like to take up freedom too. But
there's nothing as an artist. There's nothing wrong with giving up freedom. There's nothing wrong with experiencing your freedom. But if
he took advantage of some of the freedom, for sure.
If someone hires you and says that I want a painting of my dog, and I decide to do the dog in an entire world with other dogs, I didn't hire you to do that. I hired you in a picture of my dog. That's it.
In freelance, if that same artist, if that same client says, I want you to paint a picture of my dog, do whatever you want.
Okay, well, that's something different.
But that's what HBO, HBO gave them the freedom to say.
That's what they asked for. They could have asked that for BVS. They got what they got in BVS and said, "Yo,
HBO.
We didn't like how BVS played out for us. We need you to do something different."
HBO gave the platform, so I believe because of what we got, HBO/fans said, "Okay, give them what they want." Because on let's be quick commerce. HBO, I don't give a crap. More people are going to log in. More people are going to sign up. So we're good. And in terms of the fans, they just wanted more. They wanted to get more. And so Snyder gave them more and gave within the rooms the boundaries of what he had. So for me, I Am Legend. I'm comparing this to Josh Whedon.
We're getting to
the colors. Everything just said. The only reason that this happened, as opposed to letting this happen to the other movies that have come before it or after it, is because he was pulled away from it entirely and never got a chance to put it together the way he wanted it to be put together. So it for me, it's not so much that he came back and just threw everything he had at it. He got to come back for that it was more of a unique opportunity. I don't know what other movie this will ever happen to.
This is not.
This is something that stands all on its own as far as how we ended up with this full, the entire story shown.
And that's why I think we should just have it on its own merit. I'm not comparing it to what Whedon did because he had, like Corey said, he had different confines and stuff like that. And then Colors is right. You got a guy that said, "Hey, look, make a 4-hour movie." Okay, he can fill it up as much as he wants. So I think that for me personally, I guess another point I should have said coming in, I didn't in my mind, Whedon's version did not exist. I didn't say, well, Whedon did that differently or Whedon did that better. I'm looking at Snyder's cut as just Snyder's cut, as if this is the first cut I've seen, period.
And then I still like it then in that.
So
all on its own, I would have been happy if I knew I was going into something that's been prepared as it is, chapter wise. I'd watch it as a series in a heartbeat. Just the way that they wanted to flesh out characters to set them up for their future movies and maybe explain something from the past movies a bit. It was we got to catch up to Marvel sort of thing that was happening.
Side question to everybody.
Yeah. Hold up, Sam. Hold up. Legend, just talk, Chief. Just talk.
I don't want to cut nobody off. Sorry. I was just going to say.
You're taking all the information.
To me, I'm only comparing this to the Whedon version. I'm trying to figure out why Whedon did what he did. Mm-hmm. Oh, snap. So we got that 2-hour movie that he put out. And one of the things from the first act, from that bank scene, there was scenes cut from Wonder Woman fighting that was awesome. That was cut from the Whedon version, and it's
no, that scene was dope. That scene was dope. I give him that. He's good with fighting scenes.
And I was trying to figure out why would Whedon take that out. It's like 15, 20 seconds extra.
Yeah.
And it shows Wonder Woman doing godly things. It's like, wow, why didn't we have this? So that's why I'm comparing both of those movies together. I'm just trying to see what we didn't do versus what.
I got one question for that. I got one question for that. Is that fight scene that you saw, is it the same type of fighting style that she showed in Wonder Woman?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. She the wonderful thing about the Snyder cut version of that scene is there's a lot of things told visually. She bursts through the door, it zooms in on her eyes. She looks the room over, sees the timer first, and scans each person individually, and then goes into personal attack mode on each of them.
Visually, that was nice.
Yeah, even using the body of this guy to knock him that way.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so it looked more calculated.
Okay.
It looked very calculated, even not comparing it to another scene like, the original JL. You saw the calculation in what she was doing, which was kind of cool to see.
It was nice to see Snyder live out the fight scenes completely, even the little context, because even the scene in the cave from beginning to end, I was like, that makes more sense. Like all of this makes more sense. So I will say one of my highest marks is the fact to see good comic superhero fighting within these characters' backstory. Because, like, for example, Superman, I'm a Batman, I was trying to figure out how is this ninja taking blocks with beams? Because last time I checked, you don't got powers, Batman. But then we got the backstory of what his gauntlets did. Like that's integral.
That was a funny joke too.
We are going to absolutely notice like how was Batman blocking beams with his hands? Like we're going to do that. So getting that. So fight scenes for me, high marks. I give the fight scenes, all of them.
No one's going to question Zack Snyder's fight scenes capability. No one's going to question that. He is the best in the business when it comes to fight scenes, hands down.
He is. I
would never take that.
He's not good when it comes to what's their power level, because they seem like it flip flops all the time. You know what I mean? Like you have Ares who took out Darkseid, but then Wonder Woman handed Ares his tail. So it's kind of like I'm not sure how the power level scale it really is in the movie.
But that was in the golden age of heroes and gods.
I would say, Chief, you trust on powerful or something. I like this movie better than the first one. I enjoyed it as a movie in itself, 4 hours long regardless. But I will say, it doesn't mean I don't have reservations. And that was one of them. Because last time I checked, Darkseid is supposed to be like an old guy. Like this guy can like pull himself off the Mega Wall type joint. Like he's supposed to be next level. How, Sway, did you do that the way you did? And not just it wasn't like he didn't deem it. Because I remember there's an episode of Superman the cartoon where like he does into a battle, and it's just basically he leaves because it doesn't make sense to continue the war. Not because he's necessarily lost. It's just like calculating like this doesn't make sense right now. No, this ninja like he lost. Like he lost.
Yeah, he was about to die. He was about to straight Thanos him in Endgame.
Right.
And every time I seen Darkseid, he always got his hands behind his back, and he's like feels like
he's mad strong
about it. And all he do is shoot you with his eyes. He dead. He didn't do none of that. He was getting his butt kicked.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't have Omega beams back then, but he did later on when he came back.
But again, that's implied. That's not established.
Right.
That's implied. And then he called him Darkseid in the movie. So it's implied that all that is Darkseid is him now. You know what I'm saying? We as fans may understand this is a different version of him or a weaker version or whatever, or comic book fans, but not the general audience.
I thought they called him a different name. They didn't call him Darkseid in that flashback. They called him something else, I thought.
Nah, they definitely called him Darkseid.
They called him Darkseid.
Okay.
Yeah, they definitely call him Darkseid. And I think the version that you're talking about, Jermaine, is the one before the Omega beams. So that would make sense. But it's not, again, that's not established. It's implied.
Yeah, the original JL, they tried to make Steppenwolf the one and only bad guy. He referenced Darkseid once, and it was such an aside that it didn't mean
But my issue with the Steppenwolf, there was one line. Again, this movie has some issues. It talked about Steppenwolf betraying Darkseid, and that was something that I was like,
me too. What did he do?
Why? Like, because you real humble now, son. So like his motives were moved by somebody who may have wounded someone else. But I think that's necessary in order to really understand why he was so vigorous in like his pursuit of this goal. Now, again, another whole.
And again, They gave him a better motivation than they did in the Whedon's cut. However, it's like they just switched the motivation. Now they made Darkseid the whole, I just want to rule and we're in the universal domination. But why? You know what I'm saying? Versus Steppenwolf, where it's like, okay, I messed up, which they don't explain what he did, but he messed up and now he needs to get Darkseid's approval, which I kind of liked. But they didn't really go into that. It just said, all right, this is for another movie that's not going to come out. You know what I'm saying?
So I see where we're kind of jumping around. So
it's hard not to.
We are.
So my question. The black suit. We know the way that Superman gets his black suit.
Right.
You know the comic
used differently
cartoon. We know that. What did you guys feel about that? Because when I saw the black suit, I said they better tell the right story as to why he's in the black suit.
That was another like. I was
literally Corey. He just went to his closet and put on the black suit. That's what really happened. That's literally what happened.
He walked through the wardrobe and each suit presented itself. And I think my only. I
was saying
my only explanation
is valid is the sense of it was implied why, because of what he did next and where he went, why the black suit was necessary. But it was implied. It just wasn't. It was implied. Like you have to be a deep fan to get like, oh, he flew to the sun. What does black do? Black absorbs sunlight. Like you'd have to do all that math. But if not, you just really thought that this man was like, oh, today's Tuesday. Let me go black.
And how many times you see him? Yeah, right.
If you think back to Man of Steel, you end up with Zod, who's in a black suit. That's pretty much the same without a cape. I think. With Snyder's version, there wasn't anything more to the decision on the suit than maybe it was his going to war colors.
I definitely
no. I think because it looks cool, like and that's Zod, what the.
Yeah, like
I
Zod
think it's because
did.
the comic book he had the black suit. I don't think.
There's a whole real reason for that in the comics. Yeah, it wasn't used for that at all here, unfortunately.
Exactly, and I think that for me personally, like I was telling Corey yesterday, I was like. I paused the movie at one point. I was like, you know what? I realized Snyder really doesn't understand these characters because he can't even just put things in that is expected. Like again with the black suit, he wears the black suit to absorb more sunlight because he just came back from the dead. You could at least put something in there to kind of just to say that or somewhere. It's not mentioned. Literally, it just looks like to me as an audience member. He just put on the black suit because it looks cool, and everything else is foreshadowing the black suit. Like they got the banner that's black and silver with the silver symbol. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things are just there. But there's no, unlike Marvel, where they made in WandaVision, where they made her crown represent that she is the Scarlet Witch. That gives it its own story, its own life to it. The black suit's supposed to be the same thing, in my opinion. No, he just decided to wear a black suit because it looks cool for today. But now. He's gonna wear the regular suit next week.
One sec. I have a question because you mentioned something, Travis, about how he uses the suit because he came back from the dead. At the end of BVS, on his casket, the dirt started to move. Now, in the Justice League movie, there was no reference to that scene whatsoever. But we saw that as, oh snap! In the comic books, when he died and they buried him. He rose from the dead and went straight to his Fortress of Solitude, or his I think it was his robot or whatever digged him up, brought him to the Fortress of Solitude, put him in that capsule thing, and he started to get back.
And technically, he wasn't even dead in the comic books. He was just like in a deep.
He was sleeping basically.
Yeah. Did any reference to that?
That's the feel I got for it.
No, and you know, Corey, that would have been a better thing instead of watching these heroes dig up a body. Handling his casket around, like it just looks so morbid, in my opinion. You know what I mean? For a superhero movie,
so if
it was just tasteless, in my opinion.
But here's the crazy thing: those scenes were necessary. Those scenes are necessary for story because, like, I think I Am Legend. You talked about it, like that, or no, it was you, Brick Corey. Like, that's a big gap. Like that scene made everything towards the end of the movie made sense.
Okay.
Yeah. That being said, just like why? Like, first of all. Either one of these ninjas had the talent to do what needs to be done in a delicate manner. And just saying Flash, like, I could do this in a multi-second, like, well, this is a somber moment. But it doesn't mean he can't be delicate because he's the Flash, which I don't want to bounce around in terms of like the connection to that. You said something about the characters not paying homage. This is why I do not like Ezra Miller Do not like Ezra Miller's Flash. Do not like how Ezra Miller decided to play the Flash. Because of all the things that what you said just now. I don't think Snyder has read the Flash, has really given us deep. Like, we got glimpses of the Flash's brilliance, but no really understanding of why. We got glimpses of like the abilities of his speed. Because technically, if you think about power, the Flash could have probably handled a lot of those parademons like just
easy,
just on his own, right?
Easy. Yeah.
He could have also
I think,
probably killed Steppenwolf because a sword moving at the speed of light will go through anything, right? So just if you were to think about the logic of it, like you could have. So,
at the same time, you know, Barry is a new superhero. He's not trained. He's clumsy. He does what he can, but he's not a guy who knows how to strategize.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. Only because he knows he can break speed of light. He knows he can. So anybody who's smart too.
But he's not sure what's going to happen.
But he's done it before. He
doesn't want to mess with it because he's had problems with that time thing. So, yeah, but he just doesn't seem, you know, the Barry Allen that I know in the comics and like the CW series is a brain. But this Barry Allen in the DCEU, you're right. He's bumbling. He should know more than he does.
Exactly. I said that somebody who's worked with students with autism. I think they almost kind of make it reference to that, but not even like in the way that would even make sense for the character itself. Like, he just seems really awkward. Like, he would be high spectrum autism, and it's like, that's not what Barry is. And if you're gonna go that angle, then go that angle. Like, to me, that's good representation, but you kind of just straddle this line that just makes it awkward, right? He's talking to this person, like, what are you saying, dog? You're brilliant. Like, you're brilliant.
Like, this is a funny moment, but it's more like a Wally moment than a Barry moment. You know, as far as you know, the kind of far too young of an attitude going on. You're wanting to save your dad from jail, but you're getting a job at the puppy store. So. Yeah,
that's kind of weird to me as well. I didn't like how he was portrayed in the Whedon version, but this version, at least they got him some type of backstory.
True, that's why these things happened. You know, they wanted a movie to show an introduction to these characters they're bringing together because there isn't one otherwise, and it wasn't very clear in the Whedon cut, but it was a lot more clear in this one because they spent time kind of going from one character to the next, but also seeing how they were slowly getting connected to the Mother Box and Cyborg, which, in my opinion, I feel like it's more of a story about the power of the Mother Boxes and Cyborg's relation, you know, having been created by their power. That was kind of mind-blowing how much of that was never explained or kind of given to us. Like, he became a very minor character. If you're to compare it to the previous edit.
Let's kind of skip to the end. Because again, it's 4 hours. I'm sure there's so much of detail, but from what everybody's been telling me, the first hour and a half is like slow, and then it picks up like towards the end. So towards
really
the end, is it the same type of fight scene where Superman comes back? He's fighting Steppenwolf. Everybody else is fighting Steppenwolf.
Superman just comes up like a douche, man. Like, I don't know what it is.
Really?
He just comes up as a douche. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I can't. I love Henry Cavill as the Superman. I love him as the Superman, yo. But he is straight a douchebag. Like, he comes up, what's his name? Jebel hits him. He's like, I'm not impressed. I don't care. Like, you didn't have to say nothing. You didn't talk before, really. Don't talk now. Just fight and get out of here. Like, he just makes him a douche. And I just can't. I don't know, man. But I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he fits the mold. He embodies him. But here's again, Clark really has nothing to do here. He wakes up out of the dead. He's pissed off over people that he made up with at the end of BVS. So I don't know why he's mad at Batman still. But okay, I'll give it to him. He's pissed off. Lois Lane, who comes from in the original cut, I like better because in Whedon's version, because Alfred brought her to that scene as a contingency plan. But in this scene, she's literally just there. She goes to this cop like every other day or whatever the case may be. Some cop that has like no real purpose, no real importance. It could have been anybody, but she was going to this cop to give him coffee, and that's why she's at the scene. You know what I'm saying? And so
she goes there every day to mourn.
She
And
goes
the
there every
Yeah.
day to mourn and brings the security cop his coffee
He's there to
too.
guard it. So that was the
but again, why this guy? Why not? Like why?
Because he gets
You
attacked
watch the
later in the
whole show of
movie, and you have to
WandaVision.
connect with him
You
somehow.
watched the whole show of WandaVision, which was around morning.
But you mourn at the same time.
I'm thinking maybe they have a good time on the weekend. You know, he might come over and for his cup of coffee at her place,
Play some
and that's
Scrabble,
why
huh?
he's there. But literally, and he has nothing to do. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, I
What you
feel
saying,
like
Corey?
I do feel that it's a lot more personal to her than that. You know, I don't know how long it's been since Superman died at the beginning of this, but I feel like it
Also, that would have
hasn't
helped.
been very
Yeah.
long at all.
So you
Thank
don't-
you.
But the
really
world
know
had
the
time to
timeframe?
make monuments and stuff. I felt like her purpose there was all right. It was totally differently written for the Whedon cut.
Well,
Yeah,
I
and
gotta
it was
bring
used
out-
more as that, that call in case things go wrong. But here
I want to say
she
you
was there
asked a question about
because
the ending.
Yeah.
And I do got to break out, but I
Oh,
want to
yeah, we do need
about the ending. I will say I agree with Travis. I mean, I was coming at you on some merits, but that when I saw Superman do that, I was like, you would. I wanted to say a couple N words to him, and you know, I'm a couple. Like, you a ninja for this, like, because that was real. Like, and then the way he beat him was like, you actually
Kept beating him.
I actually spelled bad for Steppenwolf, and I was like, yo, this is OD, dog. Like, come on, like, my man's trying to do his job, right? He's just trying to get home to his wife and kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then
nope.
it built up to an extra OD moment because not only did Superman whoop his arse,
Yeah.
then Aquaman shakes him in the back.
Yep.
And then after shaking him in the back, he throw him towards the boom tube, to which Wonder Woman, who could have just let my man go back to like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like Thanos is it, and it was just
way better ending.
it was a better ending in the sense of just getting more story, and I like the whole dark side scene, but I also felt like that was OD. That was really OD. I actually love the build up to that. I actually really love the build up to that.
Yeah,
scene.
yeah, I would say that.
Like
Yeah.
Flash outside, Cyborg, all of that.
Yeah.
Was a great build up.
Yeah.
And then the execution is because of what you said, Travis, and also true point. I don't like Superman for this in general, so I'll be very honest about that. I'm really critical. I don't like when heroes don't have weaknesses that even make sense, and Superman's weakness kind of is annoying. It has to be kryptonite only, but outside of that, then he is just like, there's no way you can stop Superman because you don't have kryptonite, you're just done. And I didn't like that because it does to Corey, to your point, Sam's like, I can't connect with you. As no matter how grounded you are as Clark, dude, I can't connect with you, dog. Like you don't feel nothing.
Yeah.
And so it is the ultimate, to me, stone that pulled out of the foundation for all of the JL universe, which was exposed in BVS. Because if Batman can do that to Superman all he had is like a powered up suit of armor and it was really smart.
Yeah.
And lots of kryptonite
With some
dust,
kryptonite gas in his face too.
But I'm saying, like,
which
if you really
wears off
consider
real
that-
fast. Didn't think about that.
If you consider that, there are some things that we can look at and say, like, Darkseid could have known that, Steppenwolf could have known that. Like, there are all these things that the ending just didn't satisfy enough. The build-up though was great.
Yeah.
I am great. I'm grateful
the
for the
battles
movie
were-
at large, just because it makes sense. Like, for nothing else, I feel completed. Like, I feel like I've got a completed story. I get it, but I still don't have any confidence in the JL universe. So,
You know about that
I
final
gotta break
battle.
out.
Oh yeah.
Brother, appreciate you, man. Thank you. We're gonna stick.
Okay, man. Yeah, nice
It's
meeting
so
you,
awesome
man.
to talk with you, man.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Let's continue. Let's continue on.
Sure.
So
What I was going to say about that final battle scene, and it's too bad he had to go. But
He's probably watching. He's gonna be watching.
all right. The crazy move at the end where everyone took part. It's felt to me, and you were. I think everyone was just now kind of feeling that build in those different scenes. But what I noticed in this cut was they were all doing, or they started doing combo moves.
Yeah.
And it was I'm not going to say that. They were coordinated moves, and they made sense in what they were doing. It was just like really cool to see Aquaman strike the trident and create those impact waves, and then see Cyborg do what Cyborg does, and I've seen him do in the cartoons and stuff, which is like absorb it and amplify it, and they did that wonderful combo attack. I saw a couple of those, and then it seemed to like lead up to that final. Okay, everybody, let's just destroy this body before we throw it through the hole.
And like no one's saying, Zack Snyder, he got it when it comes to fighting. Like no one's messing with him when it comes to fighting. Even with the scene, I know you said like, the builder was great, whatever. It might have been a little gruesome. I didn't really mind that, really. You know what I mean? Because it makes sense especially for warriors to like really maim people. Like it does make sense to me. You know what I mean? So. I do love and I do like that. And I wish I saw a little bit more of that between maybe Batman and Superman, because I really want to see their bromance more developed. And I think we still haven't really seen that. We haven't seen their like ideology, what they believe, and how they can contrast and compare. We really haven't seen that. We haven't seen it in this movie. We haven't seen them maybe, do something outside of him at the end, give a helping hand to Batman to lift him up where they were all standing. Like I wish to see
like at
more.
That point they have the beginning of a just a people friendship, not all superhero stuff. So that was
exactly.
Cool
so it was a great start in my opinion.
Beginnings of it,
It's a great start in my opinion, but I just like I mean, now it's it's on a cutting room floor now at this point.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Unless it's like gets a more surge of like popularity that causes a restart of that vision, but I don't.
It's not gonna happen.
I'm not gonna hold my breath.
I actually wish they would have left the movie at that end, rather than give us those epilogue of.
Thank you.
I don't know
stuff. I
don't know that nightmare stuff wasn't.
Okay. So needed. Then let's go real quick. Let's go to Martian Manhunter, because he was in the epilogue.
Right.
You literally took it out of my mouth. I was gonna say, okay, let's go. Let's talk
we
about.
Had to get there.
And Martian Manhunter.
Okay, so again, right? Hated it. He was shoehorned into it. The epilogue I liked. Because I didn't like Ben Affleck's acting to it, because literally here's Batman who hated Superman, who looked like a human being but hated him the fact that he was an alien. He wakes up from this nightmare. He goes to his window, sees a complete alien come down in front of him. He doesn't react. He doesn't say anything. The only thing he says to him really like, okay, who are you? Like, why do I care? And that's how I felt then. Like myself, like, well, okay, then why do I care that he's here if you don't care? Like I wish that Ben Affleck or whatever made him more intrigued about Martian Manhunter, seeing him for the first time. He acted like he didn't really care. And then on top of that, our first introduction to him, he was Martha. Now, to me personally, it was wasted of the emotional sense, because it makes sense for the real Martha to go and visit Lois Lane to encourage her. But then when it turned out to be him, it was kind of like, okay, why? You know what I mean? And then on top of that, right, he's Martha. He turns into Martian Manhunter, then turns into the General again.
Right.
Why? Like, I know that's for the viewer to know that he is Martian Manhunter, but are you telling me that he needs to turn into Martian Manhunter to turn into somebody else again? Like, he could have just turned from Martian Manhunter to the General, and I would have got it. Like, I didn't need that extra split second of him being Martian Manhunter. Another hold on, real quick. Another thing that came to my mind was he really the General? He could be Martian Manhunter posing as the General because he needs to do something as the General. How do we know that this is the General from Man of Steel and not just him posing as him? I was like, it was just stupid. It was just all around dumb.
Well, there's a character like that in the comics and in the Supergirl series. He kind of in a similar role, a high government, agency role of some kind. That's also the Martian Manhunter. Yeah, it's I don't know if he ever just tells you how long he's been on Earth, but yeah, I would guess that he knows Lois personally from Man of Steel and BVS. So, and here's another question, Travis. Why didn't he just visit her as the General? They're friends. He knows her inside and out, and he knows about Clark. So, like, yeah, I wish it actually had been Martha Kent, not this the Martian Manhunter. It was the only reason I imagined that they transformed into the Martian character was just to show us he's there. But that didn't make him very much of a good like stinger surprise at the end. You know,
see, at the end it would have made beautiful sense.
Just all on its own, yeah. It didn't make a lot of sense in the Martha scene. It was cool to see, but you're like, oh well, that thrill's over. And where is Martha anyway? You know, at that moment.
Again, Martha.
Martha.
He did look kind of weird. Was he grayish? I thought Martian Manhunter was green. He looked a little grayish to me. It was weird.
the whole movie was just gray. Everyone looked like mud, in my opinion.
Oh yes, God, the color keying is.
It was so terrible, and I think like I was watching some reviews, and I guess some people might have tweaked it to give it some saturation, and I'm like, that looks beautiful. You know what I mean? Like just to have it color that like you know, Mira comes up, talk to Aquaman. Her hair is red, but it looks like just mud. You know, Aquaman's outfit, Wonder Woman's outfit, all look the same gradient color. Batman and Superman's outfit look the same color. There was
barely a hint of their colors. Yeah,
exactly. There was no vibrancy of this whole movie at all, outside of certain scenes, like sprinkled here and there.
And what
the movie would have done better if it just looked better.
Yeah, what I understood was that they were gonna like enhance color, and I was hoping that would brighten up suits and make their symbols more.
I just wanted widescreen
and shining, but it's the style of the Snyderverse. And you're right. Every time I put on one of these films, I adjust my television's brightness way up. It's not great looking color, but I can see in the shadows. And these movies are all shadows. Like, honestly, it's funny, but it's true too. And so I have to wash out the movie in order to like see the details.
Gotcha. And I'm sure they have beautiful details, but they're just getting wasted.
And they're just gone.
I Am Legend, what you thought of that?
What's that?
Like the epilogue.
Yeah, the nightmare scene, I hated it. To me, I'm not too sure the whole dark side, how he comes into play later on. I'm not too sure what's going on, tell you the truth. I just know that Batman had a nightmare in BVS, and this apparently is the world that's going to happen. Maybe it's the future. I'm not too sure what's going on. It left me asking more questions, like what's going on? Why is the Joker here all of a sudden? What he has to do with any of this? I did like the epilogue with the Lex Luthor and Wilson talking to each other. Deathstroke talking to each other.
Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Because I think that was supposed to be like the next Batman. It's supposed to be Deathstroke versus Batman. That never came into play.
Would have been cool. That would have been real cool.
If it would have ended right there, I would have been happy with it.
Yeah.
And that was actually the oh, sorry, what?
On the epilogue, somebody told me that Flash came through in a tank or something like that.
No,
he was just there.
Okay.
They were all just there, and then I think they were all just there, and then the Joker, he had a dialogue with Batman where I felt like the Joker was kind of sunning Batman, in my opinion. I felt like, I mean, the conversation was nice to have, because I did like seeing them together, but I just think Jared Leto was just miscast as a Joker again. Like, I can't really get behind his character at all as a Joker. And the dialogue just seemed like he's just like above Batman and not like his equal, you know what I mean? And I think that just took me out of it. It was kind of just another thing that's just like, why have that there? Why talk about the anti-life equation too? It was kind of just thrown in there, like the mother box and the anti-life equations are all on Earth.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, why? First of all, and why put that in the movie? Like, and then he goes on to say, and then Doomsday say at the end where they kill Steppenwolf, oh well, let's do the old-fashioned way. You could have done that the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, why put those lines in the movie?
I have a dumb question. What exactly did he mean by the old-fashioned way? Like, just like he did before with the Age of Heroes scene? Like, dude, that didn't work.
Yeah, and you tried it with the mother boxes and it didn't work. So why do it again?
Yeah, come back with hordes and don't have more power than the mother boxes and the anti-life equation? Like, dude, no, don't.
So my question to everybody. Now that the Snyder Cut is out, We can put this conversation to bed. It exists. It's out. We see the final vision of Snyder's interpretation of DC. Where do we go from here? Does DC go in their own way and Zack Snyder continues to try to create more Snyderverse content? Where do we go from here? And do you want to see more Snyderverse content?
Not at I'll go first on this one, guys. This is an easy one. Not at all. We've seen his vision. He got 3 movies to do his vision. We've seen it. It ended. Good for him. I think it's time for DC to find somebody with vision, have them between the studios and the creators, and have a plan going forward. None of this, hey, this director do your own thing, this director do your own thing, and maybe we come together later and we try to see what we got and try to make something. I think they should leave that alone. Just find somebody with a vision, have them lead, have them be in between the creators and the studios, and start all over.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta agree with I Am Legend. It's like it's played its way through. And the swan song can be this epic that they went ahead and made because everyone was hoping to see something more clarified than what we got in 2017. And yeah, just take it for what it is if you're a fan. And I don't blame anyone for having, like, Sam's and Travis, you guys, you get it. We've been burned so many times by weird moments in the previous movies and this soft cohesion instead of the strong one that makes the Marvel universe successful. I like DC and their animated shows. They love to explore textures and styles and even eras, like Gotham by Gaslight. Does that sound familiar to anyone? It's a steampunk Batman movie from DC.
Oh, okay.
And there's also a Batman Ninja. I might be.
Yes, I've seen that
one.
Okay, yeah.
One.
So they take the characters and throw them into this whole other world with a whole other feel. I think that's what DC really wants to just keep doing with their visual stuff. Not visual, but their movies and TV to be separate from their comics as much as they can. Where Marvel, they want to be connected a lot more. Anyway, I liked it, and I recommend anyone just curious like you, Corey, is go ahead and do it. Go ahead and watch it. It's not going to hurt.
Funny. Surprisingly enough, I told Corey I think you should watch it too, just to see how bad it really is. Just to see, like, okay, this is it. Like, let this be the last thing that we have of the Snyderverse. And I think the Snyderverse just goes more to your point, I Am Legend. I think the Snyderverse just goes more to more than just BVS, Man of Steel, and the Justice League. You know what I mean? His first movie, Man of Steel, really set the tone for all the subsequent movies afterwards. The only one that kind of deviates to me, which is, I love Man of Steel, still my number one favorite, but right after that is Shazam. And that really is like kind of different, you know what I'm saying, in direction and stuff like that, and the tone and everything like that. But I think it works for what they were going for in the character. And then you have Suicide Squad, which is terrible. You have Birds of Prey, garbage. You have Aquaman was okay. Wonder Woman, the first one was good, but then they took a major step back with 1984, and then they want to do it, and then they want to have another third one by the same directors and the same. I'm like, I just want them to say, listen, this is a nail in the coffin. I'm sorry for Henry Cavill. Oops. I'm sorry for Henry Cavill. I think he was my phone is flipping out on me. I think he was a good Superman. I think even Ben Affleck was a good Batman. I think except for Ezra Miller and some miscast here and there, like I'm sorry for all of them that we can't really get to see their characters flesh out, but just doomsday this movie and don't resurrect the corpse of it again. Take a few years off, do some TV stuff, take a few years off, and then come back with, like you said, I'm Legend, with a clear mind and a clear direction.
Yeah. Question. What if they came out tomorrow and said, Injustice, Snyder directed?
I would be all well, I don't know, actually. Visually, if they said he came on as like the visual guy and the choreography,
Snyder,
nah, man, I don't want to see nothing from Snyder again. If it
I'd
ain't
be like-
302, I don't want to see nothing from Snyder again. I don't want to see nothing.
I'd watch it, but I'd know I'm gonna have to turn the brightness up.
He's not a good writer. I think the problem with Snyder is he knows of the big events of comics, but you don't know comics. So when you know the big events of comics, you're just gonna keep doing the big events, big events, big events. So that sounds like a Snyder idea. Like, hey, let's just do Injustice. Wait, what? How we get here? So
and let's make it 6-hour movie.
So I think it's time for DC, well, WB to step away from Snyder and give somebody else a chance. That has, like I said, has a vision. That's all we need.
Okay. So
yeah, I like. I'd rather see a different look and feel to the DCEU. Wonder Woman is the closest thing to that different look and feel for me. I am a pretty big fan, even of 1984 and its corniness. God, I love her.
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm sorry for the actors because they're really good.
It is so. It's too bad, honestly. I gotta agree because, God, she kills it, and she's so not oh pretty lady, but just the strength that they've given her and the I don't know, she's just supportive and she has the same sense of humor, it seems, through the movies for some reason. Her moment making tea with Alfred was hilarious because it's similar to a moment she had with Steve where like they're just having kind of a casual conversation skirting around something, and with Steve it was like, I think it was about sex. And in the end, she's like, well, there's nothing wrong with us laying. I can lay there with you and we won't have to do anything. It was the same thing with that.
The nigga's so innocent.
Yeah, there was a thing with that tea. She's like, well, would you like some since you're
like since you're telling me everything, like No, that was a good scene.
Yeah, and that's her.
I mean,
feels like
I'm
that's
sorry for the
her
actors,
coming
man. I really
through.
am. Like Ray Fisher, all of them, man. Like, I think the
Cyborg. Just
Cyborg.
That's it. At least we got him featured. But it's all. If it was going to be continued, I'd be really excited for a live action Cyborg.
My whole thing it has been the way I've approached this movie. I'm a person who likes continuity, story. That's my whole thing. And if you're gonna give me something that's a big event, I want the big event feel. So like Avengers, Infinity War, those were big events where I was in the movie theaters, I was watching everything, I was experiencing everything. Zack Snyder, in my opinion, he dropped the ball as to why we didn't get a Justice League movie by Zack Snyder, or part 1 and part 2, which was the original slate by Zack Snyder.
That would have made a lot. That would have got the butts into the seats probably.
Yeah. Oh, I would have been there just so I could. Same thing. As much as I hated BVS and I was done with Zack Snyder, I'm willing to give him a chance to finish his story and get out. All right, you're done. Peace out. My whole feel to this Snyder cut is that it's not going to get his big release and big feel because we're at home and we have to watch it. That's number one. Number two, he's not playing by the same boundaries as all comic book movies have to play by. That is a studio giving you an allotted amount of time. He was given 4 hours to tell his story, which to me feels like he's inconsiderate to other people's time. That's just my opinion. You would have told this story in the same amount of time, even if you were to say, all right, let's make the movie 3 hours long, because that's the length of Endgame. And you have to only compare what you're putting out to what else is in your genre, which is Marvel. So Marvel's longest movie is Endgame, which is 3 hours. So give me a movie that's 3 hours. You're giving me a movie that's 4 hours. You're inconsiderate of my time. And on top of that, you've already tried and you failed. And this is why we're here. This is why Matt Reeves have a Batman movie that's already set up. You already have DC talking about putting in a Black Superman now. Like they're moving on with their universe, and you're still stuck at page 1. And I'm like, that's why I didn't want to give this a chance, because I'm like, dude, You did it already. You tried, and then you pandered for about 4 years so you could get your movie made, and now it's made. So I was like, yo, no, you won, but I'm not going to let you enjoy this victory by being 4 hours watching
But
it.
he didn't make that movie. You know, he
It
was
did, but
taken
it's
away
still
from
his.
it.
A lot of it, 75% of it, is still his. It's his.
No, yeah, you have to understand the story is completely different. I have to say, there is so much more explained that it makes it worth watching. He
My only
saying he had a
pushback to that,
chance.
Corey,
They took away his chance to tell any sort of narrative, and they rewrote their own narrative without him.
So
It really feels like that. So I
This-
can't blame him for the badness of 2017.
and I'm not.
And if you want a movie in short form, watch it in two-hour jumps. And
So
then you've
so
got,
that-
Avengers
what-
Endgame or Infinity War Endgame all at once.
So what I did, I actually found somebody online. They didn't put it together, but they broke it down to where if you were to sit and watch this as a 2-hour or 3-hour film, they broke it down to where how you can watch it as a 2 or 3 hour film.
Yeah,
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is DC's version of Justice League, even though it wasn't the same story, wasn't the same vision, the premise, if I'm not mistaken, is the premise the same for both movies?
no.
No, I
can't
have
say
to
it
disagree.
is.
It is the same premise.
No.
It is the same ideas.
It is.
This is my
It's just more
my
flushed
understanding.
out.
This is my understanding. In Justice League that I saw in 2017, there was Steppenwolf. He needed to collect 3 boxes so that he can bring Apocalypse to this Earth or terraform the Earth or whatever.
Okay, on a
Just
basic level,
came
yeah.
Together, they stopped
Yeah,
it.
on the basic level, yeah.
That was the premise. That's what I got from Justice League. Is that the same premise in this movie?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's
All right.
all you got in Justice League. That's the only. There was no detail as to what those things are, why he was there, who he was doing it for, and why he was even doing it. This is all explained in dialogue between him and Desaad over interstellar telephone through melted metal.
Slab.
Like a big slab of molten metal, a lot like the communication devices in Man of Steel, the Kalex things.
Yeah.
It was similar. It's like that's how they want to communicate through 3D projection. You get a story for who the hell is Steppenwolf.
Okay.
And it becomes emotional. You get as much as you get coverage of each of the Justice League members in the movie to build them up, they did the same thing with Steppenwolf in this cut.
Which they didn't do in the last movie. So that is true.
It was not done. He was a mystery monster who kind of inferred about Darkseid. In this one, he's talking to Darkseid's right-hand man over the phone, and I know Darkseid's listening, but he's talking to Darkseid's right-hand man and telling him, "Oh my God, I'm finally here. This is the place where I can totally make myself redeemed in front of him." And Desaad's like, "No, dude, you got 50,000 more worlds to conquer before you make him happy because of what you did." That's not given to us as far as the details of what he did to betray him, but he's trying to make up for some big betrayal.
Okay.
There's and then the connection to the mother boxes. Sorry to ramble, but it's a thread through the whole movie, connected to him and connected to Cyborg and connected to an ancient one, Diana, who knows what happened and why they had to, prepare the world for this attack 5,000 years later.
Which she found out in the most ridiculous way. There's an episode of South Park. I don't know if you guys watch South Park, but Corey, you watch South Park. And there's an episode of South Park with the gerbils. And remember when they walk into the cave and they saw Craig there on the tapestry, and they're like, "Wait, all this is what happened?" And Craig, his character was on the tapestry there. That's literally what happened in the movie. Like she just stumbled upon, not stumbled so much.
Well, she
basically stumbled on it, for lack of a better term, and then she figured out the whole thing, which I don't know how. I mean, you could put me in front of hieroglyphics. I'm not going to know what it's telling me. You know what I mean? It doesn't really explain how she knows, but she just knows. She figured it out. So there's that.
Okay.
I would say, Corey, just watch the film. Watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe two parts a day. It took me 2.5 days to watch. 3 days to watch.
Take time.
it. So,
treat it like a mini series. Yeah.
And
If
like
you have projection, watch it on whatever largest screen you have. It's in IMAX format, so
and once again, I'm only comparing it to the 2017 Justice League movie. Like a movie by itself alone, to me, is not that great. It's like it's not something that, like I said, I'll watch again. But comparing it to the other one, I'm like, well, how could you guys make those decisions? Take this out, do this, do this.
No, you're right about that.
yeah.
That's the
Like I
only
was
reason why
saying
I
about
watched
that
it.
reaction.
That's why I
This
enjoyed
guy
it.
going, that wasn't in it, and everyone's like, no.
It's like the move to take away Cyborg story to add in the Ukrainian
Made
family,
no
whatever.
sense.
It's like, how? who
Well, why?
decided
Yeah,
this?
you're right about
Yeah,
that.
so
Who's
that's
that
the only
anyway?
reason why I watched it.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing,
Some
guys.
fixes, good
Here's the
fixes.
thing. If I go ahead and I watch this movie,
Mhm.
and if this movie does to me what BVS did to me, now the bad thing is I'm home, so I have no. Oh man, this is I really wanted I Am Legend here for this.
Oh, we dropped it.
Me and
Come
him,
back in.
we went to high school together, and we've been butting heads for different things. So, okay, all right, I'm just making sure you hear because I want you to hear this.
Thank you.
You ain't going nowhere.
If I watch this movie, I'm going to. I would love to bring everyone back for a round 2 discussion within 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks to watch this movie.
Yeah, that'd be really cool because after seeing it, you might understand like where I'm coming from with this threaded story as opposed to something that was chopped together by editors that had no
it's
idea what was
it's a
going
better
on.
story in the sense of it's flushed out, but
Yeah, I
it
think
just makes you feel more bloated. Honestly.
It does.
I'm
But I
doing
think-
this. I'm
but
doing
I
this.
feel like, oh, good.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it once, all the way through, 4 hours, to compare it to the Justice League that came out 2017. Then I'm only going to watch about 2 hours of it and compare that to the Justice League
There you go.
because I'm not. I still feel it's unfair to compare two different movies to where you had 4 hours to flush out a story as opposed to 2 hours. I don't think that's fair.
You're right, and you're right about that. It is
to be-
unfair.
It has to be the same. It has
Yeah,
to have
that's definitely being fair to Joss
Oh,
Whedon and whoever created that for the first, whoever else helped to create it.
Right.
Yeah. I can only say I'm thankful that it came back and was able to be, kind of told, even if a little bloated. Agreed. Totally agreed.
All right.
That singing, the singing.
The singing.
What was the singing? There wasn't even a translation for the singing, so why was the singing?
Why was the singing?
You'll see. You have to watch it now. You'll see.
Yeah, it's not too far in. You'll see. It's just there. It's just there, and then you can't ignore it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on top of that, she snips his jacket.
Oh yeah, creep.
I think that was just for Jason Momoa.
Seaweed? You like the smell of seaweed?
That was just for Jason Momoa.
That just has to smell like fish. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ocean, yum.
My man keeps
Yeah.
off and on. So let's wrap it up.
Okay.
So in 2 weeks, guys, I would like to do a part 2 to this podcast, this particular topic, and I will come in with a new sense of either adulation and a respect for Zack Snyder for what he did, or I'm gonna come in with guns blazing, ready to destroy everybody who defends this.
At that point, I just run away.
I can't be middle ground anymore.
Yeah. Sweet. So Corey, what's your rating? Well, the other Corey, Brickery. What's your rating for the movie? I don't know if
like out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10.
I give it a good I don't like doing 0.5s. So I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. Because movies do have, all movies, including this big long one, they do have these flaws where you by the end of it you're like, why did they do that? Or on a rewatch you see some unnecessary stuff. And like this joke about the singing, there's areas where they could have tightened up some of the dialogue. and other areas where it's great that they expanded it. So yeah, there's give and take to what's been done to it. There's entire scenes that you're gonna say, wait, what happened to? And all you can say is that was in the Whedon cut. It didn't belong. It wasn't part of what Zach wanted, or what Zach intended. You know, the Martha and Lois scene, totally different place, time, circumstances. And there's there was things that me and Pete were missing. I was like, hey, what happened to that shot of the TV with Harold the janitor's wife, who was all mad at the aliens? That's gone. So I do have to warn you, spoiler alert, you're not going to get some of those jokes. I thought that was like, oh, they could have left that in. That'd be okay.
Some things they could have left in. Even with the Aquaman scene, too, where you opened up, where you sit on Lasso of Truth, I think that should have stayed in there, too.
Agreed. That was the other one that really stood out for me, too. I was like, oh, it was good enough to see him, speak some truth. They gave him a little different tone for him altogether, too. They kind of made him stay this kind of bitter guy most of the way through because, the other movie was coming and he still had to, develop and become more empathetic.
Which I liked, which I did like. They didn't give us that Aquaman. They gave us the one that would lead up to the Aquaman in his movie. So I didn't mind that at all.
Yeah.
So my rating for this movie would be, honestly, I appreciate it. I'm glad that Snyder's vision is out there. I really am. And I mean, even though we had to sit through 4 hours, it was still like, okay, like, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, let's see what you had in mind. Personally, though, it was way more bad than good. I mean, yes, some things I would like to see in other movies, or some things I'm just like, yo, that's dope. Like, but most of the time I just felt like, where's he going with the story? You know what I mean? Like, I'm only judging it on his own merit. And to me, it just felt flat. So I don't mind doing 0.5. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 10. Like, I really couldn't get behind this movie. Like, Man of Steel, to me, he blew it out the park, in my opinion, with Man of Steel. I love Man of Steel. I don't think Man of Steel was confident that it was going to be a big universe, but still on a movie alone, it was a really good movie. But after that, it just seems like, I don't know, studio interference. I don't know if he just has too many ideas. Like again, we all agree, too many big moments he wants to do. And I think that's where we kind of get lost in the sauce,
Yeah, Batman v Superman feels like the plot fell apart at the end with the Martha moment. Like, that's, it wasn't fair. I could make jokes, but it just like, what a weak thing to do. One word, and that snaps someone out of a deadly fight. So anything else, something consistent with a comic story that might have worked, but anything but that, which just like, man, I almost walked out of the theater. The only other movie I have only walked out of one movie, Corey. It was Green Lantern.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't care after a while.
I almost did that for Iron Man 3. When they revealed the Mandarin, I was like, I'm out of here. It took everything in my body to stay in my seat. It's a but I was not interested. I wasn't even paying attention at the end.
For me, I fell asleep in Thor 2. I didn't walk out, but I fell asleep. Like, at a certain point, I fell asleep during the movie. Like, I just couldn't do it. Now I appreciate it. After seeing what they've done, I appreciate Thor 2 now. But back then,
same.
I couldn't stomach it.
Yeah, there's a few of them that are kind of like, snorers, but they all connected the whole Infinity story together to get things started in that phase.
Yeah.
So guys, we're gonna reconnect in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Next week I have
forward to it.
It's going to be an all females panel. So this is Women's History Month, so I want to do at least one all female panel. We're going to talk about some comic book stuff and women impacting comic books and stuff. So that's going to be real cool. But then after that, the next week, we're going to do part 2 of this, and we're really going to give our full assessment. I'm going to be able to give my full assessment of the Snyder Cut. So you guys did a great job in helping me make my decision.
Got you off the fence.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because he's telling you to watch it for positive reasons. I'm telling you to
you're
watch it for negative reasons. At the end of the day, just go watch the movie.
Yeah,
Just go watch the movie, you know?
Yeah, I think it's so big you're gonna find both.
Yeah, really are.
Hey guys, listen, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out, Corey. Like once again, man, I follow you. I see your work. I see your background, man. You're awesome. So I'm glad to have you on tonight, and I can't wait to see you again in 2 weeks.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem, Travis, my brother. As always, it's always good to hear your perspective. And a lot of times, me and my brother, we echo the same thing. So his energy right now, I might have the same type of hatred for it, or I might have a love. Who knows? But I'm gonna keep an open mind.
Yeah, but not all the time because I liked Iron Man 3.
Yeah, and I love Thor too. So
Yeah, so we
Anyway, everybody out there,
nice seeing you. Hope to see you again next 2 weeks.
You too. I will be here. Thanks a lot.
Definitely.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much. Those who are watching on YouTube, please go like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, we'll catch you later. Take care, y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Okay.